Hello, YouTube. It's me, Lamani, and we have some big things to talk about for gearing in patch 1.2. If you haven't heard, and I'm sure you have, there is a new system being implemented. It's the expertise in gypsum systems. Now, we've touched on this a little bit, and some big things have changed with it, and I think for the better, for everybody, for the future of New World. So here I am in front of this new crafting station, the Gypsum Kiln, and there are some big things that we're going to be able to do with it. Before we get started, please continue to do that weird YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Please ring that bell. Tell everybody you know. I'd appreciate it. If you want to connect with me, feel free to leave a comment. Or click the link below and join our Discord. Also follow us on Twitch. We'll be live streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. You can also follow us on TikTok now. We're starting to post some cool clips there at Lamani Games. That is also linked. And follow us on Twitter, also in the description box below. Now, I think the important thing to explain before we get into things is what is expertise and what is gypsum. So the current high watermark system is a little bit difficult to wrap your head around. The way it functions right now is that every single slot you have for gear, weapons, general armor, amulets, rings, earrings, everything has a hidden watermark value. That means you can only have items drop at that certain gear score at that point in time. So when you hit 60, it starts at 500. As you get a drop, every time something drops, there's a chance for you to get like a 1 to 3 gear score increase. For example, let's say you have 500 gloves. Well, you kill a level 60 elite. There's a chance that when it drops that item, it is a 501 pair of gloves. Then you permanently have a higher watermark, meaning now you can get 502, and so on. And the different levels, as they get higher, drop generally higher average watermarks. So for example, once you're like in the 560s, you're going to more consistently see 560 plus drops from like a level 65 elite mob, as opposed to a level 60 elite mob. You'll still be seeing like 520s, 505, 530 from those mobs, whereas those 65 pluses will start to drop you increases. Anyway, that's the system. It's a little confusing, but it also rewards this chest farming style of play where, you're not really playing the game. You're cheesing chests, you're looting them, and that's one of the best ways to get your watermark up currently. It's not running expeditions. It's not playing endgame content. It's not doing OPR. It's not doing invasions or portals, anything. It is rewarding this solo rat around style of play. And for what gain, right? We're not really playing the game. And so this is a fundamental change to the system that they're implementing. Now, initially, when they released this expertise system, it did not tickle everybody's fancy. There was a lot of division in the community, but I think they've changed in a way that really benefits everybody now. So let's take a look. You now see with the current expertise in gypsum system that my expertise is listed next to every single item that I have. It's at 515 right now on the PTR. That means my drops for that slot will be 515, and then once I get an increase to drop like the old high watermark system, you will actually see a notification that it went up. You will know that it went up, but now my drops for that are higher on average. You get more drops now from actually killing things and running expeditions, and you see more loot that way than you did in chests in the past. They've nerfed chest drops, and so it's going to actually promote playing the game and pursuing different endgame avenues. So how do we actually see these expertise increases? You're going to see them like you have in the past or like any other MMORPG. It's going to come from elite enemy drops or just general mob drops at level 60. And you'll see when that item drops, it'll say expertise increase in whatever slot that it just happened. You can still get them from chests, but it's a much lower percentage now. They have nerfed chests. Or you can use the new system they've implemented, that being the gypsum system. So what is gypsum? Gypsum is where we're going to start seeing this new crafting station, the Gypsum Kiln. The Gypsum Kiln is located in every end game zone. So anywhere that it says you can be level 64, starting in Ebonscale, you'll see there's a kiln there. Going up to Shattered Mountains, there's one actually at both outposts. So there's one right here, and there's also one right there. You will also see one in Eden Grove, right there. And you're going to see one in Reekwater. So that is right towards the front right here. This gypsum kiln is going to allow you to craft gypsum orbs. Now, how do we get those? Well, these are the different types of gypsum that you can actually obtain. You have obsidian, sapphire, emerald, citrine, amethyst, ruby, diamond, and topaz. We get these through different endgame avenues. So once you've hit level 60, doing things like OPR, killing certain mobs with this specific potion that you can craft on, doing holiday events, all kinds of stuff. It actually rewards playing the game in different ways and gives you an expertise increase that you can focus on for that. So for example, obsidian gypsum you obtain from killing elite bosses in landmark zones. Each time you kill one, you'll get an obsidian gypsum. Now we can only craft these orbs on a daily cooldown. I will say topaz is now a daily cooldown, not weekly like they had previously mentioned, but this comes from killing level 55 plus mobs with a specific potion on that you can craft at a fire. Anyway, let's say you get 3 obsidian gypsum. So I've killed 3 elite bosses, each one dropped me an obsidian gypsum. I can then craft it once a day, and now I craft this gypsum orb. Once I have the orb, I can then craft any gypsum cast for any piece of gear, anything that the new expertise system applies to. What will then happen is you craft the cast, you open it up, you'll get an expertise increase and an item in that slot. So, for example, let me give you a quick breakdown of how we can actually get gypsum. So one of the ways we can actually get gypsum now is through diamond gypsum, and that's going to be through holiday events. So with the Winter Convergence Festival coming, you can go to each tree. You just need to go to 3. There's one in every town. Get the daily cooldown, and they will have a diamond gypsum. Once you get 3, you can take that to any gypsum kiln and craft it into a cast. Personally, I think this will be one of the easiest ways to get a quick expertise increase. So it's going to be important that you're doing this every day as long as there's a holiday going on. Okay, so you have your gypsum in your hand, you're ready to craft an expertise increase. You'll go to the kiln. And for me, let's say I want to do maybe a life staff increase. So I'm going to find my diamond gypsum craft for the gypsum orb and I will craft it. Get 1 orb. There's no skill increase for this. It's just a level 60 system. And now once I have it, you'll see that I can do absolutely anything for gear. So for me, I'm a healer. I'm going to start targeting life staff casts. I will say for the healer role, what I think you should really hone in on is maybe not gear. Gear is going to be easier to get than other pieces, but life staff is going to be important because weapons are a harder one to get increases on in general. Or I would start focusing on things like earrings, amulets, and rings. Those are probably your lower ones as a healer. So I would say focus on the weapon and all the jewelry. Anyway, let's craft our life staff cast. So click on it, craft. You'll see I get the cast. And then what happens is you will open it. That's all. Easy peasy. You do get a random life staff roll. So this one is green, and you saw I got 2 expertise increase on it because I went from 515 to 517. There is your little notification. It shows you now, but this might end up being potentially, depending on what happens once you get to level 600 with it, a way of trying to pull better random life staff rolls instead of crafting them. It's just a good, simple way for a guaranteed 600 life staff. And maybe, I'm not quite sure yet, what the rarities can roll at. But if you want to try pulling high level life staffs for endgame, this is a great source of doing it. That's the gypsum and expertise system. We now have a bit more control in how we actually empower our character, but we can do it through all kinds of end game content. And that's what I think is the greatest. So how do we actually obtain each type of gypsum? Obsidian gypsum, this is going to be obtained from defeating level 60 plus elite bosses in landmark zones. Sapphire gypsum is going to come from Lazarus and Genesis bosses. Emerald gypsum is going to come from trade skill aptitude reward containers. Citrine is going to come from arena caches, so actually fighting arena bosses. It gives you more of a purpose than just those dinky caches we have been getting. Amethyst are going to be in breach containers, so doing corrupted zones, corrupted portals out in the world. Ruby are going to be found in OPR caches. Diamond, like I was saying, holiday events. And then topaz are going to be found from using a potion that you craft at a fire and killing level 55 plus mobs out in the world. Those will give you topaz gypsum, and then you can craft an orb. You can do all of those once a day. It'll give you 8 different ways to get a personal gypsum increase. You can do some of them. You don't have to do all of them. Totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Now, where does the expertise system differ from when it was first announced? The one I was talking about, the topaz method of getting gypsum, that is now a daily cooldown instead of weekly. But fundamentally, where was the big error in the expertise system? It came from the crafters. I will totally say I brushed over this a little bit, and I apologize. The crafters, this was not a system developed for you. 100%. There was no way, shape, or form was this an advantage to anybody who crafted in the game. So how has the system actually changed? Well, for starters, I want to address this. So many people have been saying, this is a bad system. They're resetting everybody to 500 gear score. Please read things before you start saying them. Nobody's being reset to 500 gear score. All of your expertises are going to start at whatever your hidden watermark value is. They have a way of recording it in the game. It's just we can't see it. You will start at that. So let's just put that out there first. Second, for all of you crafters, any gear that you craft from now on in the new system will be at whatever gear score you crafted at. Meaning, If you go craft a void bent helmet, but you do it yourself, it will always be 600. So anything you individually craft, it'll always have that gear score value. So that's how they kind of said, hey, crafters, we're listening, and this is what we're going to do for you, which I think is a great change. So now you can still keep crafting your really high gear score things and not having to go push your expertise through other, avenues of content. And that's totally great if that's what you're into. The other big change that they implemented, I haven't really touched on yet, but something they're introducing in 2022, you'll see that this system actually is coming in our winter PTR. If you read any of the patch notes, it's saying expertise and gypsum are coming in the winter, but in early 2022, they're going to add scaling, meaning that your items will not surpass your expertise value. So if I had a 600 helmet that I bought off the market after the patch comes out, it would actually only be 515, but it would scale up to 600 as I get expertise increases. Now, what I will say is that is not true for old gear. So any gear coming in to the new system, meaning after they implement scaling, will stay at whatever it's at. All of your gear currently is going to be grandfathered in. So let's say on live, I have a 600 void bent helmet. They implement scaling. Well, that 600 helmet will always be 600 no matter what. But let's say the next day after they implemented scaling, I got a 600 helmet from the market. Then it would go down to my expertise level. Hopefully that makes sense. But any gear that you have now is not wasted. If you had anybody craft it, you have anything that, you got really high gear score, but your expertise isn't going to be that high, it will always be the value it is at now. So I just wanted to clear the air. For starters, no gear scores are being reset. So please calm down. 2, crafters, everything you individually craft, still great, right? It's going to be great for your own individual power, and you can still sell it to other players. And sure, maybe their expertise isn't high enough where it'll be in a good spot, but they can still get it that high and it's still going to hold its value. So crafters, great thing for all of you. And I'm excited that they actually changed that. 3, all of your gear will continue to be the same power it is now after that update comes through. All of your old gear will be grandfathered into the new system. So there is no worry about having high gear score now and having those pieces decrease afterwards. Now, the last thing I want to address is why is this actually fundamentally good for the longevity of New World? Well, initially, I still agreed with that, but I knew it wasn't helping every single player. So again, I'm sorry for that. But I think this kind of implementation to the game, fundamentally at its root, we are changing a major system in the game. So for starters, AGS is listening to the fact of they know that their system needed a change. And that was something I was trying to address in my previous video when I discussed this, is that they know one of their biggest systems in the game is not working the way it should. And they need to change now. So they're listening to players on that note. But what I also want to say is that they're continuing to listen to players because look at everything that's changed already based on the feedback that they received. AGS is listening. They want to make these changes and they are changing key components for their game. They will listen to you. Just tell them how you feel. Sure. Is this system perfect? The new expertise system? No. But what I will say is I think it is better than the high watermark system. It now lets us pursue more avenues instead of just solo chest farming for no reason. I think solo chest farming is the worst way to play the end game. Do you have to do it? Yeah, because if you want to get those high watermarks, that's the only way to do it right now without running expeditions, and expedition keys are expensive. So what is this system actually doing? It's promoting individual player power increases, specifically when scaling comes in. Right now in the game, I could hit level 60, go and buy a complete void bent set of gear, and I'd have all 600 gear. What was the point? Right? Sure, some people like doing that, but when you're playing an MMORPG, the whole point is to be grinding for your gear and to get gear score increases, not just, skip the entire game. It's like trying to furnish the inside of a house that isn't even done yet. It just doesn't make sense. You're trying to complete that end goal without even stepping into any of the things to get that end goal done. And for me, fundamentally, it does not make sense when you're playing this type of game. Now, for those of you who disagree, I appreciate your perspective. I hope you appreciate mine, but I think this is going to be very, very good for the health and longevity of the game that we all love so much. To wrap it up, expertise, it's giving us all these different ways to get gear score increases, not just chest farming. Chests are nerfed. It's going to be better to actually farm things, do things at end game. And are they kind of time gating it? Yes, in a sense, but you can still go push drops like any other MMORPG out there. If you want to do it that way, you can still run expeditions to get higher gear score increases. Go craft them, go buy keys, do all that, do whatever you need to do. But having the gypsum system in the game is just another way to be like, hey, I want to go do my outpost rush and actually benefit from it. I want to go run portals out in the world and actually benefit from it. It's promoting doing everything. And I think that is healthy when you're trying to make a game last a long time, right? You want to have these repeatable, grindable systems that people enjoy, not just running for chests, getting loot from them, cheesing aggro tables, and profiting off of that, because what is the point of doing that other than for PvP, right? We'll have more PvE going on. There will be more stuff happening in the end game, and I think everybody will have a greater time. I hope this explains what the expertise in gypsum systems are, how to actually craft casts. I hope this is going to help you for when patch 1.2 actually comes out. What I will say is, if you want to join us in patch 1.2, feel free to transfer onto Eden, send me a DM on Discord, send me a DM in game, and we will get you in our company. We're going to have to start a second one soon, and I'm hoping to get some things rolling, start maybe taking territories, fighting in wars, doing some really fun stuff together. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, follow me on TikTok. All those will be linked below. You can also DM me in Discord if you have any specific questions, but come join our Discord. It's also in the link. If you want to support me directly, feel free to hit up my Patreon. I'm going to start being better about giving you more exclusive content, maybe early video releases, some extra stuff that I don't put out, just extra ways to connect with me and contact me and things to do. You'll have a different role in the Discord, so we'll go off of that. If you want to support me, feel free to hit it up. I want to say thank you to every single one of you who have done it already. So thank you, Jacob, Adrian Thugius, Shane Gill, Shmeezy Anarino, Juro, Nathaniel Thonar, Nicasio Joseph, Tarvi Generici, Ronan Ralph, Bob, Florian, Blue Beagle, GDB, Jay Kitchens, Wentz, Dexter, Rich, Rob, Matthew, Josh, Michelle, Ryan, and Rich. Thank you all for your continual support, but thank you to every single one of you who are watching. Something else I want to mention before we go is we are going to be doing a giveaway. After I've hit 15,000 subs on YouTube, I'm going to be doing it through my Twitter and my TikTok. So if you want to stay tuned with those, we haven't released what we're going to be giving away yet, but if you want to be a part of those, go and follow the TikTok and the Twitter. I appreciate everything you've done for me, so I want to start giving back to all of you. But as always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you all for being you.